Happy to be with you as we celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. Today, you are now chopping it up with Mike and Donny. I am Mike Hill. That is my co-host, my player partner, my good friend, the West Side Fly Guy himself, Mr. Donny Harrell. What's good, D?
How you doing, Mr. Mike Hill? It's a beautiful day today. It's Martin Luther King's birthday. You know, he fought for equality. That's why we're here on Foxhole, baby.
Absolutely. And I'm happy to be working. A lot of people's like, you gotta work on MLK Day. I'm happy to be working because of the sacrifices MLK made. It's possible for us to have this type of platform today.
Mike, do they understand you supposed to work? If you see a donkey on the Sabbath day, wouldn't you pull him out the ditch if he was stuck in the ditch? We gotta work, baby. That's what
Absolutely.
They understand. You feel
Keep on doing it, man. Making that. I like your analogy too. That's good. As we celebrate the legacy of Dr. King today, it's also a day of reflection for many of us as we take our own dreams and lives into consideration. Are we doing what we want to do in life, or are we doing what we're intended to do?
Yeah. You know what, Mike? My thing is this, man. I feel like you have to find yourself first before you can find your purpose as a man or a woman. So once you find yourself, then you can find your purpose. So I think that's what people need to do. That's just my opinion.
No, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about walking in your purpose. And we got a few guests tonight who's going to talk about the proper steps to take to finding your purpose in life. You ready to make this happen tonight? Let's
go, Mr. Mike Hill.
Let's make it happen. Please welcome author, producer, Devon Franklin, actress, director, Tamara Bass, wellness entrepreneur, Cleon Joseph, and two-time Grammy-nominated producer, my guy, Mars. What's up, y'all?
Hey.
What's going on? Hey. How y'all doing?
So happy to have y'all on the show today. Happy MLK Day. Hopefully everybody remembers what the legacy is all about. Yeah. You know, let's get right into it tonight. Because they say one of the best feelings in the world is when you realize what your purpose is in life. But I just did some research, and according to the New York Times, only about 25% of American adults have a clear sense of purpose. Only a quarter of Americans have a clear sense of purpose. Devon, do you know what your purpose is?
Listen, I hope so. Let me add that. I hope so. You know, a purpose is the reason why something was created. And to be honest with you, you know, in terms of me as a Christian, I probably won't know my full purpose till I get to heaven and can ask God who created me. So until then, I'm feeling around a little bit in the dark, walking by faith, working by faith. But I do feel like I've hit an area where I feel the most useful, the most content, the most satisfied, and I also see the most impact. So from that evaluation, I would say I'm in my purpose, you know, but it's one of those things that, you know, every day my purpose adjusts a little bit, right? Because sometimes we get so rigid. This is all I do. Like, so we were talking before this started about basketball, right? So if someone's purpose is basketball, guess what? That's good. That's about 10 years of your life. What you gonna do with the rest of your life? Yeah. So I think so often we get so locked into purpose. Purpose to me is not just a destination, it's a journey. And so every day I'm trying to live more in the purpose for that day and hoping and praying it aligns up with the purpose for my life.
That's cold. That's cold right there. You know, that's cold right there, Devon, because you know what? My biggest purpose for is me coming from where I came from is getting closer to God. That's my ultimate purpose for me.
Yeah. So yes. Yeah. No, I feel that, man. I'm with you on that.
And I like what both of you guys said. Cleon, jump in here on this one because isn't it true that we, like Devon said, we won't know what our real purpose in life is until we die and we meet God, if you believe in God.
Well, the thing is, a couple of things. You either know your purpose or you're going to get spanked into your purpose. It's going to be one or the other, you know? So if you don't know your purpose, let's say for instance, in my instance, my dad wanted me to be what he was, you know, entrepreneur, construction worker, restaurant owner. I didn't want any of that. I tried. Put me in school for that. I quit. I was no good at it. You know, when I decided to find my purpose, which was wellness, it excited me, you know, to a point. I came in the 90s. I watched my dad's business fall and I wanted nothing to do with it. And then I went out and got a job, 25 years in law enforcement. Now, it's not that I hated law enforcement. I just hated having a job and someone telling me what to do. So through that, after hearing your bosses tell you what to do, that purpose starts triggering it and kicking in. Now, what that is, you guys will find out what it is for yourself. Mine happened to be fitness and wellness. It worked for me everywhere. Every door that opened for me that I walked in, it opened easy because that was what I was good at. Some singing, some dancing, some education. My thing was fitness. The only thing was monetizing the purpose to make it, to get paid for what you love. So that was my walk, you know. So, and of course, having that faith walk. God establishes the connection once he gives you the purpose. Your purpose gives you the platform. Your platform gives you credibility. Your credibility, as you all know, gives you the influence. And that was my discovery.
Amen. Amen.
Love that.
Tamara, you know, do you feel it? Do you understand?
I completely agree. I believe that it's funny. We all have these ideas of where we think our life is going to go. You know, you set out this roadmap, you know, 5, 6 years old, you say, I'm going to be this, blah, blah, blah. And then I noticed that the things that you're not supposed to do become increasingly hard. They become so difficult. They become so like every roadblock is thrown at you. But the thing that you're meant to do, those roadblocks shift you towards it. And once I realized that I wasn't meant to just stand in front of a camera, audition for a role, beg for permission for you to let me be, and I started to create my own opportunities and thus for creating opportunities for others around me, I realized that that's what I was supposed to do. Yes, God gave me the talents. I'm an amazing actress. I'm a really good director, I'm learning. I'm a pretty good writer, but my purpose was to create opportunities for all those around me. It wasn't just for me. It wasn't for my gifts to be solely some selfish thing. And once I tapped into that, things started shifting. Like I'm in quarantine right now in Toronto. And it was because I was hired to write a movie. Well, I wrote said movie and I turned it in and I said, hey, I wrote this movie for a particular actress. And no one does that. No one, you know, especially as an actor, writer, everyone's like, aren't you going to write it for yourself? I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm not this character. I wrote this for Deborah Joy Winans. I turned it in. I said, hey, I wrote this for Deborah Joy Winans. The exec said, oh, okay. 3 weeks later, Deborah's like, yo, Tam, I got an offer for some Lifetime movie. I think it's your script. I said, of course it is, because I wrote it for you. Wow. Oh, and guess what? They made me an EP, and now I'm up in Toronto to make sure that everything is smooth. That's what I'm talking about. Because I wasn't designed just for myself. Thank you. So it's once you learn that and you start to walk in that, I think things are just easier. It's the difficult things is when you're not walking in your purpose.
And sometimes you just have natural abilities that you're born with. Mars, you're a producer, 2-time Grammy nominated producer. I'm pretty sure you always had this musical influence in your life, and it was just something that came naturally to you. Is it easier sometimes to walk into a purpose when it just comes that naturally to you?
Not necessarily. I guess it's different for everybody, but my story is kind of similar to my guy Cleon. My father is a bishop, so my grandfather is a pastor, my father is a bishop. So I grew up in church, and once I was old enough and my dad moved us to Lancaster and started a church, I was like, you know, the church musician and playing the organ and everything. And I remember one day we were at Albertsons, and this is random, I'll never forget this, but he was like, yeah, son, this is, you know, we're saving souls. The purpose is to save souls, to win people to Christ. And he's like, you know, in the same manner, it's a business. So he's like trying to, you know, tell me like, yo, basically, I want you to, you know, be a pastor, basically was what he was trying to say. So, and I'm like, I feel you, but I'm not rolling. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know God gave me that call. God gave you that call when you were 9. I'm 13 right now. I still ain't heard him yet. But what happened was, I mean, I feel like I know that I've always been, well, I'm blessed to operate in my purpose. And I know that I'm operating in my purpose because I've never set out to do anything. Like God literally anointed me, you know what I mean, to do what I'm supposed to do. And it's a difference between having a talent and having a gift. You know, like people can learn how to, you know, how to have a skill, you know what I mean? But when you're blessed and you're anointed with a gift, that's something that, you know, wasn't really taught, or something that, you know, God gave you. That's the difference. So I kind of realized my purpose by doing music, and my dad had to just let me start doing what I was doing. You know, it wasn't cool that the first couple titles of the songs that I placed weren't like favorable names, but you know, after a while, he was able to see like my purpose is to bring people to Christ through music, you know, and to let people know that it's okay to be authentic, it's okay to be yourself. You know what I mean? Just have your own relationship with God. So
love that.
Yeah.
I want to ask a question, Nick, because I keep hearing most of you guys. It seems like you grew up in a 2-family home. That's what it seems like. You know what I mean? That's what I'm hearing. But then when you have a mother who really was a teenage parent. She's a teenage parent, and then you go out there and then you try and you don't know your purpose because the people, you guys talking about God and all this, and you talking about your people showed you the way they want you to be this, but when your parents don't know what their purpose is, how can they teach you a purpose? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was raised by a single mom. My mom had me
too.
when she was 18. Like, and when I say 18, I mean her birthday is February 28th and I was born March 23rd. So she was like 3 weeks into being 18. And I didn't come with a blueprint. You know, my dad was off in college, and it was just me and my mom. And truthfully, I was what they called gifted, and they figured that out around age 4. And my mom, the best thing she ever said to me was, once I figured out that you were smarter than I was ever going to be, I just got out of your way. But in the midst of that became her resenting me. So it became me figuring out my own way under the guise of her telling me I could be whatever I wanted to be, but then throwing little daggers every time I stepped outside of that box. Because it wasn't so much that she didn't want me to achieve anything. It was, she honestly didn't know. Like, think about it. What do you know at 18? I look back and I'm like, I knew absolutely nothing. I knew not a damn thing at 18, but yet she was given a child to now raise. And I didn't have the stereotypical teenage mom who was partying, dropped me off to grandma. I swear my mother has never been in a club in her life. She claims she has. I don't believe her. Like, she's square, but she still didn't know anything. So she didn't know how to teach me to figure it out. She left me on my own devices. Good thing is I had a good head on my shoulders. So I figured it out early on. Like, if I live X, Y, and Z way, I can get out of Syracuse. I can get the fuck out of Dodge. Like, I can get out of here. I can have more than what is given to me. But it wasn't a matter of I wasn't born into this idyllic situation. It was just God gave me a brain.
God gave you a way. Hey, Clay, I'm gonna let you get in. I got to take a quick break. I want to talk more about obstacles that get in your way of your purpose. Also, other factors that determine your purpose. And Mara said something that was really something I want to talk about, because God tells you some things, but sometimes you don't always listen to God. What happens when God talks, but you don't listen when it comes to your purpose? We're going to get into that coming up right here. You're chopping it up with Mike and Donny on Fox Health.
That's the thing about you, though. It's like when you even hear your name, Swiss Beats, even back then it sounded like just bigger than what it was.
Worth the conversation with Jeezy.
Shouts out to you and Timbaland, man, for everything that y'all are doing over there. I'm talking about these versus battles.
Every Wednesday.
Did I think that it would get to this point? Yes. And this is the first interview that I said that.
On Fox Soul.
Because my wife's told me that it's okay to accept your flowers.
Yeah, it is. I love it, man.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber.
Breathe right into your foot.
Your plumber's masseuse.
Yes.
You, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Fox Soul presents.
The topics are great, but not as great as my co-hosts, Funky Dineva and Al Reynolds.
TGIF.
Hey, Ma, the internet is going crazy that you and I are on the same platform after our history.
Every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.
Fox Soul is a magical place. Dreams do get made, friendships do get, build back together again. Okay, build you.
On Fox Soul.
Chopping it up with Mike and Donny on Fox Soul. We're talking to Cleon, my guy Mars, Devon Franklin, and Tamara hanging out with us. We're talking about purpose tonight and talking about obstacles that some kind of get in the way of people's purposes. Tamara's talking about her mom getting in the way. Donny, I know you do a lot in the community.
Right.
How do you know when to get involved with somebody when it comes to helping somebody on their path and when to kind of pull back and let them find their own way?
Man, like you said, my mother had her first kid when she was 15 years old. So, she couldn't really teach me, anything about anything because she didn't go to high school. She didn't go to any, she's had kids, and trying to find my purpose was very hard when you have religion, you have our family was musical, then you step outside in that concrete jungle with all in the hood, you're so confused of what's going on. So when I go back and I see these little kids and I see people out there who really don't have a purpose in the projects, and then I try to help them and sit down and say, man, what you want to do, man? You know what I mean? How can I help you achieve what you're trying to do in life, man? That's what I like doing, to try to help you, because nobody didn't help me. I had to find my way myself. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I like to do, try to help people find their purpose, Mike. You know what I mean?
Well,
so the environment played a major factor.
The ways to help. I mean, Donny, going back to, one thing when you want to help the youth is what I do, what I've done in some of my programs is I give them the answer, man. A lot of people, they'll when they bring their kids to me and it's like they want their mothers or their parents, they want the scared straight answer. Oh, you're going to go to jail if you do this or that and the other. That's because of my background in law enforcement. Yeah. That's the last thing I want to tell them about how to be scared straight. You know what? These kids have brains. They're intelligent. You got to give them the answer. I show them what the blueprint of success looks like. And just by talking to them that way, their eyes change. I have kids. I've had young men in my gym that I had to teach them their first shave, get them started on their own bank account. And that right there sends the trajectory of change. You guys talked about single parents versus double parents. My dad was raised by himself. Okay, him and his brothers, they were all over the place. And he was determined, and my mom too. She was a table dancer, all that good stuff before she found the Lord later in life. I didn't know this till I was 16. That's when they were so hard on us. Where's you laughing tomorrow?
Table dancer. That's a funny.
You said table dance. That's a good way to put it.
I was like, table dancer.
Okay. I ain't heard that term in a long time.
You didn't say pole.
Well, we respect your mama. Go ahead.
And they turned out to be excellent figures in the community, which taught us. They raised 41 foster children along with 4 of their own. So that taught us the giving spirit. Now we were spoiled. They called us the Prince of Soulville, me and my brother, because we got spoiled. We didn't go out. We got all the good stuff before my older brother sister went through. But the lessons of teaching and giving back and just being straight up with these intelligent minds, young and old, because people need to see you walking. And if they don't see you walking and you just talking, it's all bullshit. I'm sorry.
Amen.
It's true. It's true. I have an 11-year-old by way of my sister. She's my child. My sister carried her. She gave birth, but it's clear she's mine. I lay claim to her. But I've instilled in her since the time she was little 3 things: unconditional love, so that she knows that there's always a safe place, and to remind her on a daily basis that she can be anything she wants to be in this world, as long as she remembers that nobody owes her anything.
Yep.
So once you lay that foundation, you see the shifts in conversations. I mean, I've talked to her like I'm talking to you since she was a child. We would be on the train in New York. She's having a meltdown because she's 1, and that's what meltdown kids do at 1. And I would look at her and I'd say, so what is your malfunction? Your diaper is clean. You're not hungry. What is going on with you? And you could see her calm down, and people around me looking at us like, what the hell are you? She's 1. But it was talking to her that way. So now that she's about to be 12, I have that same base of conversation with her. What is it that you want to be in this world? How can I help you get there? This is not the path for you to go if you say you want to go over here. We have a joke. I'm like, my goal is to get you to 18 and not get you, you're not allowed to twirl around the pole. And she's like, why do you always come back to a stripper? I said, because that part of my purpose in this world is to make sure you achieve what your purpose is.
But how is the line of you making sure that you don't put your purpose on her life and her understanding what her true purpose is?
Because I never tell her what it is that she wants to be. It's always asking questions. That's the thing I think that the people, parents and children sometimes forget. It's you don't dictate their life. You ask them questions. What is it that you like? What is it that you don't like? What is, oh, you want to be an architect. Well, do you like math? Do you like drawing? Not so sure about that. Then maybe you don't like architecture too much. So
you don't kill kids' dreams either. When people
you ask them questions.
Yes, you have to let kids dream, because I feel like when you stop dreaming, you're dead. You know what I mean? That's how you're trying to find your purpose, because you're dreaming of what do I want to do in life?
You have to teach kids how to walk the planet like they own it. See, I'm just going to be honest. If for my white folks that are listening, hey, enjoy this, because this is the truth. Because you tell your kids this. You teach your kids. We call it spoiled, but you teach your kids how to walk the planet like you own it. I saw my dad. You see people like Ali, Jack Johnson, Dr. Martin Luther King. They did what the hell they wanted to do, and they did it well. And you got to tell your kids it's okay to do that. My kids don't have to be trainers or book authors or anything like that. My daughter wants to be a nurse. My other wants to be in kinesiology. You know what? Go for it. And if that fails, I got the formula in my head to get you back where you want to go. That's how we need to talk to our people, man.
All right, this real quick. This for Devon and my guy Mars, because we talk about environment, we talk about adults helping people find their purpose, but the ultimate person that's going to help you find your purpose isn't a person at all, but it's God. So what happens when God talks to you, intends for you to be something, but you don't want to listen? Because there are a lot of times when people say, I think God is calling me to preach, but I ain't ready, God. And you tell God, you ain't ready for this, you ain't ready to do that. So Devon, how did you know? And when do you know it's the right time? It's always the right time to talk to God, but are you afraid of some of the paths that we're intended to be on, that God wants you to be on?
There's a book that I read, a while back, and it's called How to Find the Will of God in a Crazy Mixed Up World. And it breaks down Romans chapter 12, and it talks about there's God's perfect will, his acceptable will, and then like his good will. So there's 3 different levels of his will. And then when we put him first in everything, we get his perfect will. And then every other decision, if we put him second or third, depends on which will we get. So you can get his permissible will, but it's not his perfect will, right? And so I think for me, I always knew I wanted to be in Hollywood. I mean, I was, as Donny mentioned, you were talking about single parents. I was raised by my mother. She passed. My father passed away when I was 9 years old. He died of a heart attack. He was, 36 years old. So my mother raised me and my brothers by herself, along with some help from my aunts and my grandmother. And so, but I knew early on I wanted to go to Hollywood. That was where I wanted to be. First of all, I didn't want to have anything to do with ministry. A lot of people know me through ministry, but I didn't want to have anything to do with that. It wasn't until I preached my first sermon at 15 and people said, oh, you should really preach. But I was like, no, I'm not preaching. I'm going to Hollywood. And so I ended up coming to USC, majored in business, minored in film, got an internship working for Will Smith. And, I did that, for 4 years, graduated. When I graduated, got my assistant job, my uncle called me from Oakland. He said, hey, can you come up once a month to preach? Now, I was like, man, I just got my assistant job working for Will's company in Hollywood. I'm starting my career and my uncle wants me to preach. Now, this is when I could have denied the voice of God, right? I knew I had the capacity to preach, even though I didn't have the desire to do it. But when my uncle called, I said, okay, because he called me, I'm going to do it. So I started going up once a month to preach while I was an assistant. I did that for 10 years. So as I was ascending in Hollywood, from being an assistant to being a junior executive, becoming executive, ultimately for Columbia Pictures. I was going up once a month. What was amazing is that as I started to not put myself in a box, everything in Hollywood opened up to me. So my career began to accelerate and things began to flourish because I did hear his voice and I answered. God didn't say, be a preacher. He just said, use the gift I gave you. So we get caught up with titles and all of that instead of just being used of him however he wants to use us. So I do think that anyone who's not listening to his voice will run the risk of ultimately living a life less than what they were potentially capable of.
Mars, jump in there. Mars, jump in there. It's a great word right there. Great word. Mars.
No, I was just gonna say the same. Like, you know, it's just crazy because you know, like I always tell people I never look to be anything other than what I am. You know what I mean? So it's like my foundation was church. Like I always say, my dad is a bishop. He just happened to be a musician and an artist. So he worked with Dr. Maddie Moss Clark, you know, the Clark sisters, Thomas Whitfield, you know, different people like that. So I was around like the best like gospel music, you know, you can have, you know, as a kid. So one, me knowing like church, the foundation of it, like how it is, how the congregation is, how, you know what I mean? Like how people meet up, the family. My family was half of the church anyway. So it was just like, we get to just go and just sing and do concerts and stuff like that. It was, the thing was that like, that always was my foundation. Like that's never left. That has always been like, even in my lives and every interview I do, like I'm always talking about God. I'm always talking about, you know, like that's just what it is.
And that's how you're using your platform to raise God's awareness.
But let me ask Mars something. Mars, so you think after you get finished doing this secular music, would you go back and start doing what was your foundation?
I mean, it's not. I don't think it's like a go back thing. I make music, and God allows me. You know, God's given me the gift, like I said. So. Right. The way I explain how I work is that I download information that God gives me, because I don't necessarily like, I used to premeditate and like, you know, oh, I'm gonna play this chord and I'm gonna play this beat, or, you know, I'm gonna do this type of thing for game, or I got, you know, I'm gonna work with Snoop, so I'm gonna do this type of idea. But I've grown to a point where I love just allowing God to use me. I love not knowing what I'm about to do. Like, and it's better doing that. And I've also been going on live and using my platforms so people can see and just inspire people. That, like, the whole reason why we got a school is because, like you were saying, Donny, we weren't taught a lot of things. Like, especially for me, my dad I used to be on punishment all the time, just for no reason. Like, too. Like, I was on punishment all the time just because there was no music production classes. There were none of these things that they have now. Of course, it wasn't no laptops. It wasn't no beat programs, all this stuff that the kids got. Like, I'm like, yo, y'all are so lucky. But I would have to beat on the desk because I'm hearing beats in my head and not knowing, you know, that I'm hearing, like, yeah. So I'm like beating on the desk, first period, trying to save the thing all the way to I get to church so I can program it. And then I got 5 calls from my teacher when I get to the house, and my dad is like, nigga, you been beating on the desk. You gotta leave church. You know what I'm saying? So it's
that's
like,
your purpose overflowing right there, brother. That's
once
your
you understand what it was, once I understood what it was, I was able to tap in. Yeah.
And direct it in the right path. I got to take another break. We're going to come back. It's one thing to know your purpose. It's another thing to know other people's purpose in your life. We're going to get into that coming up as well.
I'm ready.
You're chopping up with Mike and Donny. Stick around.
Yes, sir.
What's more dangerous? A man who isn't afraid of death, or one who's found everything to live for? I asked him if he was proud of me. He emphatically said yes as he laid his pecan-colored head on my chest, and I went through my mind 1,000 times to figure out what that could possibly mean, and every single example ended in motivation for me. So you may not be afraid to die, but I'm more afraid to let them down. And I found something to live for, which is a dangerous motive forever fueled. See, your thoughts may be involuntary, but my actions are very calculated. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. My sons ain't raised by no coward, and they won't be one either. If this be the measure of a man, the yardstick gonna need way more meters. I take it too far, so they never come up short, because I found everything to live for.
Fox Soul presents.
The topics are great, but not as great as my co-hosts, Funky Dineva and Al Reynolds.
TGIF.
Hey, Mar, the internet is going crazy that you and I are on the same platform after our history.
Every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.
Fox Soul is a magical place. Dreams do get made, friendships do get, build back together again. Okay, build you.
On Fox Soul.
COVID-19 has hit our community real hard.
We're dying from coronavirus at almost double the national rate.
If we come together, we have the power to save what matters to us, our Black lives.
There's power in protecting your loved ones.
There's power in wearing a mask and social distancing.
There's power in knowing the facts and using your voice.
Let's fight COVID-19. Visit bethepowerofus.org.
Back on the Mike and Donny show. You're chopping up with Mike and Donny, Mike Hill, Donny Harrell. We're talking Devon, Tamara, Cleon, and my God, Mars. We're talking about spirituality. We're talking about purpose. We're talking about God tonight. But when we talk about God, to me, your purpose, we were talking about at the beginning of the show, is what God intends for your life. But if you don't believe in God, can you still believe in having a purpose, Donny?
Me personally, I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? Because only an idiot would think that as human beings, we put all this stuff on earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be a higher power, you know what I'm saying, to put all these beautiful trees, the air we breathe. Man didn't bring nothing into this world. You know what I'm saying? No, this wood I'm on, this computer, it's all made from the earth. So for a person to believe in a higher power that is a God, you know what I mean? It's kind of like crazy to me. You know what I mean? Because we have brought nothing to this world, and we're not going to take nothing when we take that dirt nap. So I just don't understand when people don't believe in a higher power that is a God. I just don't.
Man, amen.
Again, in my perspective, everybody has a path, and there are biblical characters that didn't believe in God, but eventually ended up believing, whether God, blinded them through lightning or they came through discovery in the light. So it's crazy. We're all talking about God, where we're coming from, but yes, we are dealing with people that don't, and we got to be able to play on their level too. Talking about being a blessing to others, when we're talking about purpose, which gives you your gifts and your talents, those blessings rub off on other people. I've had people come to know God, come to know Christ that I serve, because of the way I walked, and I never said the word Christ. It's a light that you all carry. Yeah. That's why you're so successful. You gave into the light, and it sheds off on other people, man. So when you don't listen to the word, there's torment, guys. The torment is your job sucking, your life, your marriage sucking, until you get spanked back to him. If he wants you, he'll use you regardless.
It's crazy that you say that, Cleon, because, the path I lived, you know what I'm saying? People don't understand. I don't let a lot of people know my purpose or how much I love God, because when I talk about it, you know what I'm saying, for the path I laid out in my life, people are like, well, this nigga was crazy. He did this, he did that. You know what I mean? And, when I start talking about it, look at me like, Drano, you talking about like this? But no, people don't understand that nothing fills me up better but God.
To me, you're the best example of somebody who talks about God, somebody who's gone through things, somebody who's, if you want to call it sinning or whatever, had a life, had a past or whatever, because you can identify with sinners. And you can talk to them in their language to bring them close and tell them how you overcame whatever demons you had in your past to become the man that you are today, to walk with him. Devon, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say, though, is I absolutely think people can and do walk in their purpose, whether they acknowledge God or not. You know, I mean, there are, you know, I don't believe someone like a Steve Jobs ever acknowledged God. I don't think.
Wow.
And look at the impact that he's had on the world and even in death. And so I do think you can still identify with what you do, even if you never acknowledge the source from which you do it from.
You also said, don't let your purpose become a burden. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, because I think that there's so much talk about purpose and it's good. But I think that what happens is that instead of, sometimes you don't know your purpose just through experiencing life. That's how you discover it. And a lot of times there's so much focus on purpose. People treat finding their purpose as a burden. And that burden blocks them from living, from experiencing. And then as a result, they can never find their purpose, right? Because the way you sometimes discover it is by doing it, by being easy, by being free. And too often, you know, I hear this purpose talk and I think it's important. But when your purpose becomes a prison, then I think it's something you got to look at. It should be a journey. There should be joy. There should be freedom. There should be love. So you can just go on this experience of life and know that if you're listening and you're experiencing, it's gonna find you. It's almost like your purpose finds you. I didn't go find my purpose. My purpose found me, but I resisted the temptation to allow it to be a burden. And I see so many right now.
I also think sometimes your purpose is revealed to you through process. You don't go through, like, you don't say, okay, my purpose is to change the world. Like, you don't say that. You live, as Devon said, you live and you experience failure, you experience disappointment, you experience obstacles and setbacks, and then you make it through. And then you keep making it through. And then you realize, oh, wow, in talking to such and such, I didn't realize that my life had an effect on them. Oh, wait, what did I do in my life that affected them? And that's when you discover, to me, that's when you discover your purpose. It's sometimes in hindsight. It's not that you walk into a room knowing what it is. It's revealed to you, but you can't get it revealed to you if you're not open to receiving it. I think that's the difference. It's not so much seeking it out as much as being open to God, to the universe, to whatever you believe in, revealing it to you. And through like, I spent the first 20 years of my career thinking I was only supposed to be X, Y, and Z. And then it wasn't until being knocked down and being dragged down and being told no that I realized, oh, wait, there's a light bulb that goes off. There's a reason that if I lean into this, things start opening.
But that's why I think that you're a prime example of what purpose should be about, because you didn't allow ego to get in your way. Too many times we allow ego to get in the way and it doesn't allow us to reach our purpose. A lot of people in your position, they want to be in front of the camera. They want to be the superstar or whatever, but you realize what God was telling you, and your purpose was to be behind the camera to help others realize their dreams and their purpose in life as well. So I applaud you for that.
But Mike, one of the things, I definitely agree with that and applaud Tamara for sure. Tamara and I, we actually know each other for years. So,
yes.
But Mike, I want to hit on something that's really, I think, one of the biggest challenges and problems with the church, in my experience, having been in the church my whole life, is the church. People in the church try to prevent others from living. It's a weird thing. It's like we all came to the faith because of being convicted by Christ, right? So we're a Christian because we follow Christ. When the Son sets free, is free indeed. So we actually have freedom, you know, to live, and freedom to live from our sins. But church wants everybody to live in a box and judge you and like vilify. And it's like a lot of times people can't even find their purpose because they're taught if they breathe the wrong way, Jesus is mad at them. And I think this is something that has got to change, because we are not here. No one should be law enforcement in someone else's life, period. Let people live. And if you don't agree,
so I need to ask Devon something though. So Devon, are you saying take away the Bible?
No, I'm not saying take away the Bible, but it's not my job to make you enforce the Bible. You have to live your experience. I've got to live my experience. And then if we have discourse, and let's say the disagreement, I don't judge you, you don't judge me. The Bible is the foundation of our faith, but it's a personal walk. And too often people want to use the Bible as a billy club and beat you upside the head with it.
Divisive.
You know, and that's the problem.
Justification to bring people down. And that's, I'll be honest, it's one of the reasons my family is, AME Zion, in church forever on Sunday. But one of the reasons I walked away from it is because I'm like, you're using something that's supposed to be about love to tear people apart. And I'm sorry, the God that I serve, it's not my job to judge you. It's not my job to say what you're doing is right or wrong. It's only my job is to love you and to walk. And if that means that I don't subscribe to a certain religious entity to live that way, then I'm going to have to do it over here. And of course you're going to judge me because I don't come to your church on Sunday. So it's this.
I came up as a kid.
Messed up thing. And it's actually like through one of my relationship with Megan, like she's probably one of the most accepting people. Like she never has once tried to make me subscribe to what she believes in. She's never, like, I was like, if people in church were like you, I might be inclined to go.
But you're talking about Megan Good, of course. That's Devon Frank.
Cleon. I would say this: she was my friend before she was Devon's wife. Okay,
that's true. Cleon, what would you say, Cleon?
I understand what Devon is saying. I was raised as a kid in the church in the 70s and 80s, and let's just be honest. Let's put it all out there right now because this needs to change. The church of that day, and still some churches today. That was the slavery Bible. It taught you how to be, it taught you inferiority. Even everything from beating your kids. For our youth, it carried into our adulthood. We walked around subservient, worrying about what's right or wrong or the punishment following. Well, thank God to go to Antioch, Pastor Wayne Chaney. That is not the church that I go to. It's uplifting. You gotta celebrate the individual. And with all the faults included, like we talked about, Donny, you talked about your faults. Hey, I didn't have a perfect life either. I stepped on in the doo-doo real bad a couple of times in life. And that's why I felt God left me. But he never left me, I left him. He came back and then I walked my purpose. But I will not, like I said, walk the earth like you own it. Don't let these churches manipulate you as to what you're supposed to do and not do. God will tell you. He will tell you.
Well, your journey is your purpose, part of it. Good stuff. All right, got to take another break. When we get back, we'll talk more about purpose and probably get into some headlines. We're going to talk about who Trump might be pardoning pretty soon. And if you were in his shoes, would you have done what he did as well? We'll talk about that coming up. You're chopping it up with Mike and Donny.
I got a new cup that my boyfriend gave me for Christmas. Isn't it so cute?
Cocktails with the Queens, hosted by Claudia Jordan.
Oh, Anderson Jones, oh my God, that's so cute.
Every Monday night.
I want to find out what everybody did for New Year's. Ladies, are y'all ready? Welcome.
Do tell. Well, I got involved in a mean game of Uno at night because, California was like shut down again.
Stream it live on Fox Soul.
I think it's just vapor with flavor.
It won't hurt my kid like cigarettes, right?
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
My kid
knows it's dangerous.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Fox Soul presents
Bow Wow was talking about you.
What did he say?
He would purposely mess up the kissing scenes so that he would get to kiss you again.
Oh, really?
Established with Angela Yee.
That's my boy, I love him to pieces. When we did Roll Bounce, he was 16 and I was 22. So there was never even a chance or thought ever.
Every Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific.
I didn't know the kissing scene thing, but that's all right, that's all right.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us. That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu.
We don't have time for delays.
We don't have time for spills.
Next.
We don't have time for setbacks. Let's be real.
Getting the flu shot
helps you fight the flu.
Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
We're talking purpose. We're chopping it up with Mike and Donny, Mike Hill, Donny Harrell with our guests, Devon, Tamara, Cleon, and my guy, Mars. Donny.
Wait, I want to say something about Cleon. Cleon is a hell of a trainer, you know what I'm saying? And our purpose is one day to look like him, because Tammy Mack Tammy Mack, one of the hosts on Fox Soul, was like, Cleon is the best trainer ever, and you guys' purpose is to look like Cleon. You know
all right, Cleon.
Man, there it is.
You don't have to be a fighter to feel like one. Let's train. You're dang Skippy. I get it right. T-Mac, you know
like
that.
Hey, do we get a chopping up with Mike and Donny discount code?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about, Cleon.
I'll give all y'all a little hookup.
We trying to get in the gym. You know, we can't go to LA Fitness these days here in LA, so we trying
I
to
heard
go to LA.
Cleon's the best. Tammy Mack said he makes me work hard.
Tammy Mack looks good too. We got some comments from School Momentum. Your journey is your purpose 100%. From Creation Muse, we all judge that as a judgmental statement. And from Mrs. Barbara Robinson, we shouldn't worry about our purpose, but worry about our seasons, because our seasons will show us our purpose. On that note, because you were talking about being judged in church, sometimes you get judged by your friends when you're trying to reach your purpose. It's one thing to know your purpose. It's another thing to know other people's purpose in your life. And when they don't serve a purpose in your life anymore, it's time to cut them off.
Yeah.
Get rid of them quick. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't serve a purpose in your life. And then as you grow in life and you find out your purpose and the people not riding with you to conquer your purpose, you got to get rid of them. You know what I'm saying? And
sometimes it's hard though. Like sometimes you think like, well,
it ain't hard.
They're not revealing themselves right now. I'm speaking from experience. Sometimes it takes me a really long time to realize, like, especially if it's something that I want to like,
you're gonna learn.
I want to hold on to. Yeah. Not so much.
She's young, Donny. She's young, Donny.
I'm not young. I just look young. I'm not young. But
when you realize you ain't got that much time on earth, you ain't got time for them.
Oh, I know. And sometimes it takes me a minute. This year, like, it was a lot of that. It was a lot of like, nah, you don't have time for this anymore. Block, delete, you gotta go. And I will say it's a breath of fresh air. Block, delete.
You no more. Get the hell away from me. Because
sometimes I gotta block, delete as well.
Because at the end of the day, when you're trying to find and you're trying to climb that mountain, somebody keeps pulling you down. Hey man, you got to understand, you got to keep on trying to rise. If people pulling you down, they got to get out your life. Because your purpose only should matter to you, not nobody else.
It's your walk. It's right. Yeah, people have to remember, it's your walk. When you fail, it's on you.
That's right.
So why not take that same principle and carry it on when you're winning? You do have to cut people off. I've had to cut business partners off because, you know, they want to do something dirty or whatever, whatnot, or hey, even their credit wasn't good enough. If you're not on my level, we ain't playing, because we got to go to the table and change lives. And if you're not a mature person at 40, 50 years old, and you want to start a business and you ain't mature, it's time to go, man. And I know you're like 15 years old, Timer. You look, I think you're about 15. You look 15.
I'm 42.
Now.
I'm 42.
Oh, okay. Well, when you get about past, I was going to say, when you get past 40, you get close to 50.
Yeah.
Girl, you better learn to cut them off. You better learn now. You won't have as many gray hairs if you get rid of them now. I'm telling you. Please. Mars is reason, season, lifetime. I'm telling you.
But Mike, I think, man, this is a tough one. It's tough because sometimes we want people to play a certain purpose they were never designed to play. Mm-hmm. So what happens is we put so much on them, right? So like, let's just say, we're talking about Cleon and he's, a personal trainer. So if you have someone in your life that you think is a personal trainer, so you're expecting them to play a certain role, but they're not even a personal trainer. They have no desire to coach. Coaching, teaching is not in there. It's not even who they are. They're there to learn, but they're not there to give. So here you are putting a purpose of a personal trainer, someone you want to tell you what to do and how to do it, and they have no word for you, and you get frustrated with them.
Yep.
But it's not them that's a problem, it's you.
It's you.
You're looking at them to serve a purpose they were never designed to play. Mm-hmm. They just want to have camaraderie. They just want to go to the gym and work out with you. They don't want to be responsible for getting you into shape. And I think this is where people miss it, because they look at somebody and they say, "Oh, I want this person to be that." And then I put all my energy into getting them to be that. And when they aren't that, we get mad at them and cut them off. This happens in relationships all the time. We want somebody to be the love of our life. We want somebody to be our soulmate. And then we spend all this time and energy trying to make them something they're not. This is why.
But Devon, let me push back on that. When they're stifling you, when they're suffocating you, and they're not allowing you to grow into your purpose.
Oh, wait a minute. This is good.
That's
though.
what. But that's hold on.
That's like two different. I feel like that's two different things.
But I'm going to go with what you're saying, Mike. I think what you said is one of the lines that too many of us use as an excuse. They are not allowing us to grow. No. I live free. I don't give anybody any authority over my life. I get
that's when you get rid of. That's what I'm saying. Somebody's in your life and they're there, and you're around this person all the time, and you're trying to achieve something, but because of their actions, I know. But it's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault as long as you hold on to that relationship. That's
but I feel like you're giving somebody else too much power. Like it's not, you're putting the onus on them. It's, they won't allow me.
I've been married twice. Like sometimes you in situations, it doesn't have to be a friend. You got to understand that. It could be a love. It could be my dad.
A parent. It could be
my dad.
So let me ask you.
What I'm talking about is walking around it.
Let me ask you a question, Mike. Who happiness matters more than your happiness?
Nobody's. Because without my happiness, I can't make anybody else. I can't cause and bring happiness to other people. So yes, my happiness. I bring happiness to myself. But the way I bring the happiness to myself is I identify the people who aren't serving any kind of positivity in my life. And if they're not growing, they don't want to grow at all, then I have to cut them off. That's what I do.
So let's make it solution based. I get what everybody's saying, but here's what I'm saying. I don't want everybody to be a personal trainer. And I know that's not what Devon's saying. I walk with people in different platforms of different excellences. So at some way, in some form, it all builds up and we can utilize each other. I don't walk with terriers. I walk with the pit bulls. And if I may be the pit bull of personal trainers, but Devon, you're the pit bull of pastors, right? You know, I want to hang.
No, I'm actually not a pastor. That's a whole nother story.
I know. I want to hang. You know what I mean? I want to hang with Tamara that's doing big, because that excellence, that's the same synergy. The gifts is not, it may be the thing that you have, but it's not a thing. You said this earlier. Purpose is not necessarily a thing. It's a journey. You get to your journey by being excellent and having excellent people around you. That's what made it so much easier for me, Donnie, to cut people off that were dragging me down. And I don't mean just people, entities. You know, I'm at the point where, hey, job to keep messing with me. If I felt that way, I'm out. I'm too old. I can do this. I'll finance my purpose, but I'm out if I have to.
Yeah, music season lifetime, what I said. I'm sorry, I gotta take a last break. We get back, we'll come back to wrap up the show. This has been fun. You chop it up with Mike and Donny.
Fox Soul presents
Nick Cannon. If you see this, I'm gonna be hiding from my phone.
Hollywood Unlocked Uncensored.
Were people threatened by your relationship with Nick?
I don't know. You have to ask them.
Well, they ain't here. You are.
You know them. Ask them.
Did you feel that people were threatened?
Stream it live every Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific.
I love how you're telling your truth without bashing him.
Our relationship was what we built, is what worked for us.
On Fox Soul.
Let's see if he finds that again. Ooh.
Here are your AARP top tips on caregiver preparedness during coronavirus. First, form a caregiving team. Create a list of people in your family and friend network who can help with caregiving tasks. Take an inventory of supplies in your loved one's home. Try to have a 2-week supply of essential items. Make a list of the care recipient's medications and medical contacts. Be sure to have prescriptions on hand and ask the pharmacist for an extra 30-day supply. Make a plan to stay connected. To prevent social isolation, set up available technology to help loved ones stay connected and schedule regular chats. Finally, maintain your own self-care. Follow the Centers for Disease Control's guidelines for coronavirus safety. And have a backup plan for care in case you become ill. For more caregiving tips during the coronavirus pandemic, go to aarp.org/caregiving.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I like to wrap things up on Chopping Up with Mike and Donny. We've been talking about purpose, but I want to end on a headline because about to get rid of Donald Trump, baby. Only a couple hours left before he's gone. Yeah. But he's expected to hand out a handful of pardons before he leaves office on Wednesday. One is expected to go to Lil Wayne, who's facing federal gun charges, facing up to 10 years for that. Remember, he endorsed Trump before the election. Now, my question is, knowing what you know now, if you were in Weezy's shoes, would you have done the same thing if you knew you were getting a pardon now?
Carry a pistol on a plane?
No, I'm talking about endorse Trump.
Oh no, I wouldn't endorse Trump, period, at all.
You can try that with me.
I wouldn't have did neither.
No. Ooh, really? You wouldn't? Not even for a pardon?
No.
Integrity is more than a pardon. Like, you gotta, it's integrity.
Yeah.
I like you guys.
I just want him gone, y'all. I want him gone. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like you're selling your soul to the devil. Like, and eventually it comes back to collect. So, nah, you got, I don't, nope.
See, I love everybody's answer, so because part of your purpose is to make sure that you make the world a better place to live in. I think all of us can agree to that, right?
And if some, yes, go on, Mike, keep going, brother.
And if people aren't doing that, then you have to be the light to stamp out the darkness that Dr. King has always talked about, because only light can be darkness, right? So that's part of all of our purpose. I think we can all agree on that.
Yes, and my purpose is to spread love. I love to spread love because love conquers hate, it conquers everything. I love love. I love love music. I love people. I love God. I love this show. Love is everything. Love conquers all, brother.
You love me.
Guess what? We love you too. You heard what he said, Donny?
What?
I said you love making love.
Oh man, that too.
James Brown.
Make love. Hey, we love you guys, and I can say that from the bottom of my heart. I love all you guys. I really appreciate you. My guy Mars, Cleon, Devon, Tamara, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for hanging out with us and chopping it up with Mike and Donny tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. God bless.
Thank you, guys.
Donny.
Hey, it's a beautiful show. I hope we all keep evolving, trying to find purpose and keep finding our purpose, because you can never find enough purpose. That's what I feel.
Right. We're all good people, but God is better. So always trust in God. Keep God first and you can't go wrong. That's our purpose. That's going to do it for the latest edition of
Chop It Up with Mike and Donny.
Coming up next, it's the well-trained former Snicker lover, Tammy Mac Late Show coming up. It's coming up next on Fox Soul. Stick around.